All right, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the recap. Michael D'Angelo and Big D, Daryl Ortiz here once again with all your WWE Raw and SmackDown tidbits from the week that was. Week ending 420, if that's your thing, that's what it is. But we're going to dive right into it. So, Big D, talk us through what happened on Monday Night Raw this week.
So oddly enough, opened up Monday Night Raw with the title vacancy of the women's heavyweight or the
Yeah.
women's world title. Rhea Ripley, deeply emotional on it. Comes down in a sling that she has to give up her women's world title, which is a huge shame because she's such a great champion. We had all kinds of fantasy bookings for her, anywhere from Bianca Belair, another, or Charlotte returning, or even Jade Cargill would have been great to see, but unfortunately, she did get injured. Reports are she actually did get hurt from that encounter last week, the week prior with Liv Morgan. However, she made it abundantly clear that, or WWE made it abundantly clear that neither they nor Rhea are saying that it was Liv's fault. It was
Right.
purely an accident, but silver linings. Liv comes out and kind of just I can't talk, badly coming out and just laughing it off, right? Like kind of playing into the
Yeah.
heel character, putting Rhea over as a baby face, which was probably the smart thing to do. I guess kind of turning lemons to lemonade and just kind of saying, all right, well, let's boost Liv Morgan as a heel on her revenge tour thing, and let's let Rhea, build some crowd empathy. They even had the hugging moment backstage with with
With the
sorry,
Judgment Day, yeah.
yeah, with
Yeah.
Judgment Day. Sorry about that. Yeah, with Judgment Day, it was kind of a nice little like farewell send off to her. Apparently, we're not going to see her on camera until she returns, which the current timeline is about 3 months. So we may not see her for quite a
Yeah.
while. But 3 months, that would be just in time for SummerSlam. So that would be great to see. Maybe she'll defend her title for
Yeah.
SummerSlam. We later found out in the week
Yeah.
that, well, later found out in the week that there's going to be a women's battle royal to determine the winner of the women's world title. It will be happening next week, if I'm not mistaken. So
Yeah,
that'll
it
be
was going to be
interesting to
next
see.
because they teased that as like there will be a new women's champion next
Yeah,
Monday was what they put through out there, and
yeah.
I was
Well,
like,
obviously there
okay,
has
that's
to
very
be.
matter of fact. Yeah,
Someone's going to beat
I was like,
Bacon.
oh, yeah, they're not going to leave it. They're not going to leave the title just hanging there. And like you said, this is really unfortunate. We wish Rhea a speedy recovery.
Oh
They
yeah,
also emphasize it is not the chair shot to the head that she took
yeah.
when
No,
Liv threw the chair at her. When I saw that time, I was like, oh, she like caught her with the chair
yeah.
shot. So like it
She
wasn't
did.
that. It was when she got whipped into the wall, I think, and then she went shoulder
Yeah,
first into the wall, which is really unfortunate. Don't try this at home, everyone. That's why they always say that.
yeah,
It's a tough thing. They do have, you talk about the silver lining. It's almost kind of a ready-made storyline if there was ever a
yeah,
silver lining to come out of this because Rhea Ripley was the one who put Liv Morgan away, and now Liv Morgan kind of returned the favor, and that's kind of how they're trying to play it now because they're like, hey, well,
yeah,
nobody, Liv's like nobody said anything when Rhea put me out for injury, so
yeah.
hey, all is fair game. So it worked out as well as it could have. I guess that's the way to
Hmm.
say it, but still unfortunate. Hope she recovers quickly. In the meantime, we'll see. I'm assuming Liv Morgan's going to pick up the title in the Battle
I
Royal and
have a
finish her.
feeling that's what's going to happen. Yeah, I think they're going to let her
Yeah,
pick it up and let her have a reign there. But I'm curious to see how it pans out. I'm curious to see who they put on the Rumble because next week that should be the closing day of the draft. So
yeah.
we'll see what they do with that. If they're gonna, I guess that's how you'll know whether or not they'll keep her on Raw. But we'll see.
We'll
On
find
to
out.
some lighter news. Sheamus made his return from being out. What was it? 8 months. I think he's been out
Eight
and
months.
looking great. Of course, comes out against Ivar, so no small task. Pun fully intended there, but he is definitely had his work cut out for him, and it was a pretty good match. He just using his power, showcasing his strength and his ability. I think that one of the highlights that I saw there was an avalanche white noise with
Yep.
Ivar, which
Yep.
was insane. And that shows to his strength, right? Like, and he looks bulkier, like he's been like getting stronger. So I think that's awesome. And Sheamus has always been a powerhouse, so I thought that was great to see. And yeah, I mean, he looked good. The crowd loved him. The crowd was into it. It wasn't a long match; it was a pretty short match. So nothing
Yeah.
fancy. Just he came in. It wasn't, how do you want to say it? It wasn't like a squash match at all, which is good because you like to see
No,
Sheamus
not
come
at all.
back. But it was fun. It was a good match. I enjoyed it. It was short, to the point,
I
and just did what it had to do.
Same here. I enjoyed this a lot. Now, Sheamus got a lot of heat online. I'm sure you all saw throughout the week. There's lots of memes about his physique and how he looks when he came back. Um, I feel like, okay, this got a little bit overblown. And I
Yeah.
think even Sheamus put out like a tweet saying, okay, everyone, like message delivered. I'm going to work on getting myself back into ring shape. I'm like, did he look as good as he did 15 years ago? Of course not. But
No,
he does
but
look
he
like a
was
guy in his
slimmer
40s who
back
came
then.
back from a yeah, he looked like a guy in his 40s who's come back from a major neck injury and
Yeah.
has rehab through it. So I'm like, cut him a little bit of slack. Did he look as good as he did 15 years ago? Of course not. He did look really strong. I was like, from a power standpoint, because the
Yeah.
white noise looked fantastic.
Yeah.
He did quite a few. There were quite a few moves where he was kind of manhandling Ivar a little bit.
Yeah.
So the strength is there.
Yep.
Yeah, he'll get better as he's back in wrestling. I think we have unrealistic expectations now for returning aging stars because we
Yeah.
had Randy Orton and AJ Styles and The Rock, men in their 40s and 50s, coming back looking like Greek gods. So
Yeah.
everybody, I think, unfairly expected Sheamus to look completely ripped like he always does or
But
like he
see,
used to. So
yeah, but
it's
see,
not
here's the
fair.
thing. Like, and that's the thing. I feel that's what a lot of people don't really understand is that if you are going for power or strength, like a powerlifter, strongman type, you know, ability, you're going to be bigger.
Yeah,
You're not going to be,
of course you
you
are.
know, trimmed down and slim. There's a big difference between bodybuilders and actual weightlifters, and that's the biggest
Yeah,
piece, right? And he still had muscular aspects to his physique, and he still had the abs and
yeah.
stuff.
His
But
shoulders are big
was
and
he
all
as
that.
ripped
Yeah, he just
as he was back when he was doing, like, when he first started doing the Celtic Warrior workouts and all that, where he worked out with with other superstars? No, but maybe that's not what he's going for. Like, obviously his whole gimmick is on just brute strength, and that's
yeah.
what he showcased, in my opinion, and that was fine. So that's what I
Yeah,
felt.
that was fine with me. I thought he did well, and
Hmm.
he'll get better as he gets back into
Oh
the
yeah,
groove, and got his old entrance music back,
he
which
did
I
the
like too.
original.
I
Yeah,
was like, the original entrance music was cool, which I always like that theme and like that entrance. So, welcome back, Sheamus. Good to see you. We love it.
the question is, will he bring back the mohawk?
Oh gosh, I hope so. That'd be great.
After that, we had Mr. Paul Levesque himself come down to the ring to actually unveil new tag team titles, which now are being called the World Tag Team titles, to the
Hmm.
Awesome Truth. And I'll be honest, I like these titles. They look better than the ones that they had before. I wasn't a
Yeah,
fan of the dual Spartan helmet ones. I honestly, I feel like those look cheap. I've heard comments
yeah,
about these new titles about that they look like replicas, they look like kids ones, they look small. But you know what? Honestly, it's better than what they had before, and I'm okay
yes.
with that. So say what you want, but these are the ones that are going to be exclusive to Raw. And then right after that, we had the number one contenders match between DIY and the Creed brothers. Good, great match. Obviously, both men are. I'm sorry, triple threat. We had a triple threat. New Day was in there as well. Sorry, missed New Day completely. But yeah, it was a good match. Obviously, all three teams are great workers, and it was cool to see Tommaso Ciampa still trying to do the pedigree, buying into the whole Regeneration
Yeah,
X gimmick. I thought that was cool. But yeah, it was. I think Julius Creed. I think it was Julius Creed had a big superplex on Kofi Kingston, and then Xavier Woods landed the elbow that he normally hits to kind of break it up, which was good, trying to capitalize. But of course, DIY hits the meet in the middle for the victory, and they are the number one contenders that the Awesome Truth are going to defend first. I
yeah.
feel I would like to see DIY win these titles. I love Awesome Truth. I like, I mean, our Truth Awesome, obviously, always is, always will be. But I feel that DIY is Triple H's tag team to carry that division on Raw, but we'll see.
Yeah. I would agree. And well, so going to the rebranding of the titles, like
Right.
this is, I think it was long overdue.
Yeah, I agree.
And they did it for both shows. There has a copy paste segment that's on
Mhm.
SmackDown that's basically this again,
Yeah.
where they rebranded it. So things that I liked about it was, I never liked the Spartan titles either, just because they did look cheap. They look like
Mhm.
something you'd see at like an independent wrestling show where they like, hey, we had these titles made for like $100. So
Mm,
I wasn't a huge fan. I do like the new ones. I like the SmackDown or the
yeah,
WWE, which is what the
right.
SmackDown is now. I love the SmackDown ones. They look really
Yeah,
nice.
those are great.
These ones I thought look. I think these ones look good for the world titles, and it's also the same synergy because that's what you have. You have the WWE champion, and then you have the WWE Women's Champion, and then you have
Hmm.
the World's Champions for the men and women. So this
Yep,
keeps with the theme. It's World
exactly.
Champion, WWE Champion,
Consistency.
and they're distinct. So
Hmm.
you have two distinct sets of titles, and it feels like it creates more meaning and more significance now with the tag titles because doing the copy paste titles did feel like it was an afterthought, and it felt like the
Hmm.
tag division was a little bit of an afterthought. So I really
Yeah.
really love this. The titles look good. I do like the WWE versions better than the World versions, but I
Yeah,
think
I
they both
agree.
look great.
I feel like WWE
And
versions
then
kind of remind me of the original tag titles, like the old
yes,
school
yeah, they
ones. Yeah,
do. I was like, oh, those look familiar, and
yeah,
they look good. I was like, they're really good, and there's no
yeah.
blue branding on it. Like the Raw
No,
titles
thank
have some
God.
red in them,
They do
and
a
that's
little
where I
bit.
was like, I could do without the red, but it does look closer like the world titles, like an
Yeah.
iteration of it. So at least thematically, it's tied together. I like the R-Truth calling Triple H Tommaso Ciampa here, which was the fun moment. And then immediately DIY came out in the DX gear, which was funny
Yeah.
too, because I was like, okay, we're still doing that theme.
Hmm.
DIY, as you mentioned, they're the number one contenders. I do think they'll probably win it quickly.
Yeah.
You know, if they're matching them up at Backlash, just what it sounds like they're doing,
Yeah. I
I
think they
think
are.
they probably will pick it up. It's going to be a short title reign for the Awesome Truth. We also got the QR code during this match
Hmm.
too. At the beginning, while the New Day was coming out, where again more teasers to
Wyatt family.
what looks like it's some Wyatt family legacy. We'll see what it ends up being. I'm really excited about that. I'm
I'm super
excited, but it's
excited for that.
bittersweet
Yeah.
because I look at it as now you're getting a group, obviously, because they're doing a lot of we
Hmm.
stuff in the hints that are being dropped. So I'm like, is it some? Are we going to see Bo Dallas, Braun Strowman, Eric Rowan, Alexa Bliss? Are they all
Yep.
going to come back and be like some group together? What's that going to look
I feel
like?
they are.
Uh, I think so too, and but it is also, I say it's bittersweet because I love what they're doing, but it's constantly reminds you of Bray Wyatt, and you're not,
Yeah.
obviously we're not getting Bray Wyatt back, so
No.
it's a mixed feeling for me. Where I'm like, I love this
Yeah.
because it reminds me of Bray, but it's sad because we lost him so young, and he's an incredible performer, incredible person. Um,
Yeah.
so it's kind of an odd feeling going through this each week
I
with them,
agree.
but can't wait to
It's
see how this pans out.
well, not just that, but you got to take into consideration that now the bar is set really high. I feel
Yeah,
like the level of
yeah,
expectation is really high. I feel they'll get some slack because of the effort being made, but it'll only carry them
yeah,
so far. And that's my fear is that this has to be done extremely well, or it's not going to go over well. And
yeah,
I'm confident that Bo can do it if Triple H has given him the freedom that they gave Bray. I feel he can do it. Is he the same mind as his brother? I don't know because Bo's never really had the
yeah,
chance to do that. He really hasn't. He had the Bo leave, which he worked amazingly. He put that over, which
yeah.
was great. But again, it's not. We've never seen him kind of just freelance it, or freelance it like Bray did. So it's
Yeah,
nice to
I mean
see these little
he's
call
good.
outs like that. But yeah, so I'm
Yeah,
curious. I mean, I'm
Bo's
excited. I'm
Bo's
eager
good,
for
but
it.
he's
But we'll see.
yeah, he's different. And
Yeah,
that's where I go. I don't know if he's going to have that same type of personality to be able to carry that type of kind of a moniker going forward. But we'll
yeah,
wait and see. I hope so. I genuinely hope so,
I
and
do.
I'm looking forward to it no matter what.
Yeah, same. After that, we had a women's tag match: Candice LeRae, Indy Hartwell versus Maxine Dupree and Ivy Nile. Nothing too flashy on here. Just noteworthy is that Indy Hartwell now starting to come into the heel side of things. Maybe kind of now understanding. Maybe after her loss to Roxanne Perez, maybe now she's kind of realizing, hey, I do need to do something to kind of start winning again. And I mean,
Yeah,
yeah, she did. She had she did the cheap shot to Maxine Dupree before dragging Candice LeRae on top of her for the win. So
And
It
she
looks like a
liked
heel
it. She
turn.
was all
She
smiles
did.
afterwards. She
She
gave into
did.
evil. And that's where I was
Yes.
like thinking about this going, because I thought that's where they were going with after Roxanne Perez. They were like, hey, she didn't do the wrong thing, and then she got beat by a cheat
Yep.
move. And so
Exactly.
this was she finally gave into the dark side, and she's
Yep.
enjoying it. So I'm like, all right, at least they're consistent with it. This felt more
Hmm.
like filler to me, but this whole
Yeah.
story kind of felt like filler to me, so it's fine.
It's being drug out a little bit. I think mainly because they don't know what to do with them as a team just yet. But I think their time will come. This is just good. This is good character development, in my opinion. So that's what I chalk
Yeah.
it up as, and I enjoy it. After that, we had a pretty impressive match actually between Andrade and Dominic
Hmm.
Mysterio, which was very surprising. Um, I was
Yeah.
impressed. I will say that it was a very good. It was a heated match, right? Because I think Dominic was trying to get Andrade into Judgment Day, and that's when it all kind of went to crap for him, and now he's like mad about it. But one of the things I will say is noteworthy was Dominic. Dominic hit a mean Canadian destroyer in Canada on
In
the ring
Canada, yeah.
apron, which is the
Yeah.
hardest part of the
I
ring,
don't
in case y'all don't know.
hard as well, and it's funny too because I don't generally like Pat McAfee, and I don't think he's that
Yeah.
funny. But as soon as he hit that, he instead
Oh,
of calling it Canadian Destroyer, he called it the This Country's Destroyer.
yeah,
So that got a
exactly.
chuckle out of me. I was like, okay, that
That
was
was
actually
great.
clever. And I will say, I don't think that Dominic gets enough credit as an in-ring worker as far as his wrestling
No,
ability.
he
He
doesn't.
was
He's
very
good.
good here.
Yeah,
He was
very
very good
clean.
here, and Andrade, obviously Andrade's really excellent. So they put together a very entertaining match and a very good match.
I agree.
I think Andrade picking up the win here,
Andrade picked up
and
the
then
win after he reversed
yeah.
or countered a 619 with the message. And then after that, Mysterio and JD McDonough tried to, jump him, but Ricochet came to the save, which that was a tag team I did not know I'd want. But now I'm
Yeah,
kind of like, I'd like to see Andrade and Ricochet work together. That would be pretty awesome.
that would be pretty awesome. And it did kind of was a little bit left. I know they've been doing the Ricochet beating everybody in Judgment
Right.
Day. I was like, where was the LWO, man? Andrade helped you guys out at WrestleMania, and
Yep.
nobody can come down and help him out. So that felt a
Yeah.
little odd to me, but you know, it makes sense for it to be Ricochet because he has been kind of semi feuding with the Judgment Day recently. But yeah, Andrade and Ricochet together, they can make magic. That'd be pretty cool.
That would. What wasn't pretty cool was the next match. We had Chelsea Green and Piper Nevin versus Katana Chance and Kaden Carter. Pretty much squash
Yeah,
match, not squash match. It was just a short match. It was nothing fancy, nothing spectacular. Surprise, surprise! Katana Chance, Kaden Carter lost to Chelsea Green, Piper Niven.
yeah.
Piper hits her crossbody on Carter to pick up or to let Chelsea Green pick up the win. So I guess kind of giving Chelsea Green a win after getting destroyed by Jade Cargill twice in a row.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's a shame though that they had to be Katana Chance and Kaden Carter to kind of eat that loss. It seems like now they're going to become like the jobbers of the women's tag division, which is not cool.
It does.
There's
And
potential
this
in that
this is
tag
where I was
team.
thinking.
Yeah,
Yeah, well, they were great. They were getting pushed really hard, and they became champs. And I'm like, never have I seen a group get pushed so hard and
right.
become champs, and then fall so far now. Because
Yeah.
now it's just like they're the job squad going out there getting beat
Mhm.
by everybody, which is a shame because I think they are a really excellent tag team, and they did really
Yeah.
well. And now all of a sudden they
I,
can't win, which
I
sucks.
feel they're very talented. I really do. I feel they're very very
Yeah,
talented. My only issue is the gimmick they gave them or that they're doing their
yeah,
party gimmick thing. I'm not a fan of it.
mhm,
I feel it's like a
agreed.
generic version of it's a generic version of Naomi's because it's all
Yeah,
bright colors, party music. It's pretty much the same thing. They just like, oh no, but it's a club aspect. I mean, I get it and stuff, but at the same time, it doesn't suit them well. I don't feel, and I feel that maybe with a different type of gimmick between the two of them, they maybe have some better. They have good chemistry together. Their finishers, their team finishers are great. Their in ring work is great. I just didn't like the gimmick, and I feel bad that that's probably why they're getting beat on
yeah.
constantly. I'm hoping they maybe repackage them a little bit and maybe have them come out and be a little bit stronger because I know they can be a formidable tag team. It's just a matter of giving them that opportunity to use a much more serious type of gimmick, or not necessarily serious, but Party Fun Girls is not necessarily the type of gimmick I feel they should have.
Yeah, it's just silly, but
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, we'll see if they do, but yeah,
I mean,
they've
party
fallen
gimmicks
pretty
never
far
really
recently.
worked. We had the Rosebuds with Adam Rose, that didn't work. No Way Jose had the conga line, that didn't work. So you know what I mean. Historically speaking, those
Hey, no,
party
I
gimmicks
love
don't
No Way
usually work.
Jose.
I do
I
too. I do. Adam
I
Rose
thought
was
No
awesome
Way
because you
Jose
know
was
what?
awesome, but
Yeah, Adam Rose was great because Braun Strowman was a Rosebud. Alexa, if I'm not mistaken, I think Alexa
yeah,
Bliss was a Rosebud,
Alexa Bliss is
and
yeah, Alexa
yeah.
Bliss was a Rosebud too.
See, so we got great things out of the Rosebuds and the Royal Rumble when he would get
I'm
knocked
telling
off
you,
out over the rope and they catch him and take him around the ring and then he gets back in. It was fun. It's fun, but did he ever win
yeah.
anything? No.
No, I
I
mean,
mean, he won
you can't
matches, but
really
not like
sustain that.
titles. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Oh,
yeah,
good
after
times.
that, yeah, we had Cody coming out, kind of implying that he is making the move over to SmackDown since technically his title is a SmackDown title, and he's not wrong. I don't think anyone thought
Yeah.
that through when they wanted Cody to win Roman's title. He's gonna have to go to SmackDown. He won't be on Raw very much anymore. He wanted to thank everyone that helped him out at WrestleMania. Called out Jey Uso. Um, had that neat little line at the end where he says, "I'll yeet you later," meaning their paths have not completely come to an end, but they will cross again in the future. So that was interesting to see, which strictly led in, which actually was meant to lead into Jey Uso versus Finn Balor, in which, of course, Finn Balor tried to get the jump on Jey Uso before the bell. But again, Jey Uso coming out good. Hits the. I want to say he hit him with the spear. Yep, he hit him with the spear after he
Yeah.
got moved out of the coup de grace, and hit the Uso splash for the win over Finn Balor. Then, of course, Judgment Day came out to assault him, but he escapes and was very interesting. And I'll kind of let you speak on this match here in a second. But the only reason I bring it up is because it happens so quickly. He
Yeah.
gets out, escapes, goes to the back. The camera's following him, and then it goes to he runs into Sami Zayn, who is another person that he's obviously very good friends with. They have a little chat. He's excited about his first defense as champion in his hometown, his home country. He's
Yeah.
excited and does the most epic entrance, right? But the camera just follows him like one seamless shot. I'm loving the production work.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
I love seeing that. It looks great. But we can talk about that here. I just want to kind of paint that picture. But your thoughts on the Finn Balor Jey Uso match?
Yeah. It was good. I mean, it was what it was. I think
Mm-hmm.
this was kind of the setup for Jey Uso versus Damian Priest, obviously, because they're going to face
Right.
off at Backlash. So this was the whole. I guess Finn Balor's supposed to loosen him
Soften
up
him up.
for DP, soften him up a little bit, and so they had it. Obviously, of course, Jay wasn't going to lose. They did a little bit of stare down at the end, and then of course everybody piled in and attacked him, and then he got away. And then I thought it was a little odd to me because at the beginning Cody Rhodes is like, "Hey, I'll have your back," and he's like, "Well, I got to do this one on my own." And he's like, "Okay." It's like, well, he meant win the match on his own, not like
Not
like
letting them
afterwards
get
when they all
jumped.
started. Yeah, when they got jumped afterwards, I was like, "Come on, Cody, you could." He was like,
Cody's
"Hey, you
like,
told me not to
"Hey, you
come out,"
said
and I'm like,
you wanted it. That's
"Well,
all you."
I was like, where?" That's where I was like, "Where the heck were you, Cody? Come on!" It's like I know the match is over. At this point, you could probably come down and help him out. But then they did do that camera angle because at first I was like, "Is something gonna happen here? Is he gonna get jumped by
Yeah.
like Jimmy? Like, is Jimmy gonna be in the back or like?"
Solo.
It looked like it was leading for yeah. Solo pops out and gets him with a Simone spike, but and then it just goes into that transitional shot where it's like handing off to Sami Zayn, and then he starts his way back into the ring. I was like, okay, it was pretty cool, and they've had quite a few shots. They had a shot like that
Mm-hmm.
on SmackDown
They did.
with Solo walking out where they were in the back. They're doing that now a lot, where they have them come through the hallway and then have a conversation up to gorilla position, and then the camera follows them in. And then they
Yeah.
go out, and so you see what they see when they walk out into the arena, and
Yeah.
then it'll transition into the walkout shot. So
I,
they're
I
doing
really
a
like
lot of
that.
really cool stuff. Yeah, it
I
looks
really,
nice.
I really,
It
really
really does
like
look good.
that because it's very clean and it kind of gives you like I remember as a kid watching WWE, well at that time WWF, but watching it like all you saw was what happened in front of the curtain. You never got a peek behind the scenes. Even
Yeah.
when there was a hardcore match or a false count anywhere match or like an arena match, whatever, they would brawl out, but you never really see them in gorilla, which was something you didn't
Yeah.
learn about till were an adult, right? And now
Hmm.
I'm watching it and just seeing like that. It's kind of like it's not so forbidden anymore to look behind the scenes and to see him like come out and Sammy's just kind of warming up and get ready. We all knew that would. We had that pictured in our head. We knew that they were going to be
Yeah.
getting ready in the back for one another, and like you always wondered how do they interact behind the scenes, and you want to see that, and it's great because you got to see that. Hey, good luck. Even I think one of my most favorite ones was when Sami Zayn was coming after talking to his wife when he was going to face Gunther for the title, and Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens just like smacks him against the stack cases and hypes him up for it.
Yeah.
That was so great to see because their friendship and the fact that you got to see that special moment where he's like gassing him up and he's like, you got this, let's go get it. And then then afterwards Sammy's telling him for his match it's your turn, like stuff like that. It's so good to
Yeah.
see. It's so refreshing, and it's great to see that aspect of it just simply because you never did before. And they really wanted
Yeah.
to, and they did. Just something I forgot to mention at the beginning of the show is they kept the ring entrance. So I guess that is the new whole stage for Raw. That
Yeah.
whole
Yeah.
dual big screens, and I love it, and I think that's awesome. I'm excited for it. I'm eager to see how they continue to use those camera angles, but it was awesome. And then the match. This was my match of the night, the main event. Um,
Yeah. Sami Zayn
Sami
versus
Zayn
Chad
versus
Gable.
Chad Gable, which we knew. We both said this was going to be a banger of a match, and it was
Yeah.
very aggressive and hard hitting. Those German suplexes, they were landing on their heads, and that was insane.
Yeah.
Like they were nasty suplexes. Um, I think who was it? Sami Zayn hit like a nice springboard moonsault outside of the ring, which was great to see Sami flying up in the air like that. And then of course Sami Zayn catching Chad Gable with the power bomb as Gable tried to like leap over from the top rope. That was insane. And
Yeah.
then he kept trying to go for the ankle lock because during the match, Sami Zayn hurt his ankle and was nursing it. And Chad Gable kind of shark in the water, right? Smelled blood and tried to just pick that ankle. And I think that was kind of his demise because even with that ankle messed up or tweaked, Sami Zayn was able to hit the Helluva kick and win. And so you think,
Yeah.
okay, that was a great match. It was amazing. They tore it down, tore the house down. And then I think both of us said this. I know for sure I did. I think you did too. The inevitable heel
Yeah.
turn of
Yeah.
Chad Gable, where he just came out and just brutally assaulted Sami Zayn and just
Suplexed him while he was hugging his wife. I was like, "This is
yeah,
great."
that was not, that right there was storytelling because he went to go hug his. He's in his hometown. He just had a victory, hard fought, vicious battle, and he goes to hug his wife only to get grabbed from behind and just suplexed over. That was awesome. That was great, and
Yeah.
I love seeing this aggressive side of Chad Gable. This is more like the now he's pissed off, he's frustrated, he's done with all that, and now he wants to like just you know now he's becoming obsessive over that title, and I think that's where it's going to lead to. We're going to have the grudge match, and it's going to cause a title match, and I don't know who will win, but I'm excited to see it
Yeah.
happen.
Yeah. And I'll say, yeah, Sami Zayn versus Chad Gable. We both had said Sammy's gonna win. Chad's
Mm-hmm.
gonna have the heel turn, and
Yeah.
it's exactly what we expected, exactly what we
Mm-hmm.
got. Zayn did get the win, but he also did keep up with the age-old tradition of getting beat down in your hometown. I know that we're in a new era, the Paul Levesque era, but some things never change. I was
Nope.
like, when it happened, I'm like, yeah, Sammy's got to get beat up because he's in his hometown. But great match, as you said, match of the night for me as well. Really, really good. A million great spots. Uh, Zayn and Gable have great chemistry together,
Yeah.
and I do like the storytelling of you see more of the desperation as the match goes on from Chad Gable and
Yeah.
kind of being beside himself, and then when he loses, it's kind of like the I can't believe that I let this slip through my
And it
hands,
just he
and you kind of
snaps.
see it even when they kind of hold each other's hand, like he tries to hold up Chad's hand, and Chad's like
Mm-hmm.
no, and then grabs it and holds his hand up. And then he's still like, oh, I can't believe this. And then he snaps after that.
Mm-hmm.
So it played really well. They did a good job building towards that. And they had a great match. I'm looking forward to another one because obviously
Yeah.
they'll be the continuation of this.
Oh yeah,
as because off air when they went off air, he had Sami Zayn like up bent on the turnbuckle, and he was had him in the ankle lock, and everyone's like
yeah,
trying to plead with him to stop, and then it just kind of went off air awkwardly.
yeah.
But looking forward to the continuation of that. But great main event.
So yeah, overall, I think Raw was, um, I would say maybe about a B plus, A minus. Only
Yeah,
because
I would say
I
that.
wasn't too big of a fan of like some of the matches that were just kind of blah to me, you know, and that was going
Yeah,
back talking about the Chelsea Green Piper Nevin match, the Candice Ray Andy Hartwell. Even though they're building to adding to the story, I get it. I mean, you really only had, I would say, about two great matches in like the number one contenders three-way tag team match and the main
yeah.
event. Like those were the only two like great matches on the card in a 3 hour show. You expect a little more. It was real heavy on the promos. I think Rhea Ripley's promo went on for like I want to say about like 30, 40 minutes. It was kind of lengthy.
Yeah,
The whole thing. I'm talking about from like the beatdown and all that, the whole angle, all that stuff. It just it went on for a while, and so I think that's.
it did.
I mean, and I get it, but at the same time, it's. I mean, it's a 3 hour show, and there's only like two great matches in it. I mean, you had other wrestling
Yeah,
matches, but they weren't up to par. I don't feel.
yeah. I felt like, and for me, I was almost like this felt like there was less long promos on this
Hmm.
episode because you had Rhea's obviously because she had to come out there and relinquish the
Right.
title. You had a shorter one from Cody Rhodes coming out and kind of saying essentially saying his goodbyes
Hmm.
to Raw moving forward. But yeah, I think it's fair. It was a B show for me. I mean, there were things that could have been better. It was nice to see Sheamus return back. Obviously, he's still not
Hmm.
quite at form yet because he's been out for a while, and he'll get there. Uh, but
I mean, Dominic and
enjoyable.
Andrade had
Not
a
the
nice
best
match,
show.
so that was good.
Yeah, Dominic Andrade had a good match too. Um, and that leads us into SmackDown. So, I'm gonna say there felt, at least from my perspective, a little bit of a copy paste element
It
from
really
Raw and
was.
SmackDown to a degree. We did open up with AJ Styles versus LA Knight for the number one contenders match, which I didn't realize was going to be the opener. I thought that was going to be like the main
Yeah,
event, and that was the
I
opening
agree.
match. It was a good way to start. I really enjoyed this match a lot. I think it's a good continuation from the WrestleMania match. Lots of good spots. The only issue that I didn't have an issue with the finish because I knew AJ Styles was going to win because that's what AJ Styles
We
defeated
both
LA
said, yeah,
Knight.
yeah,
We knew that that was going to be the case. We knew LA Knight wasn't going to face Cody in his first title defense and lose. They were going to have AJ be the heel and do the heel thing and move forward. Wasn't a huge fan of it. Was like a thumb to the eye. Like
yeah.
this is what undid everything at the end was he thumbed him in the eye and then hit him with a phenomenal forearm, and it was like, really, that's all it took was a thumb to the eye to
Yeah,
completely swing the entire momentum of the match. But that's what they essentially ended up doing. But it was a really
yeah.
good match that I thoroughly enjoyed. I thought they both looked great. I do feel like LA Knight, people criticize him a lot for his ring work. I think he's
He's getting
continuing
better.
to show he can hang in there with everybody and he's solid. So it
Yeah,
was a good way to start off SmackDown. And I was surprised that they just right out the gate went for this one.
I think because they knew it was going to be a good match, and so they were wanting
Yeah.
it to kind of set the tone for the night, right? And again, AJ Styles, LA Knight, great match. I mean those. I mean we knew it. We knew it was going to be a good match. AJ, I'm excited to see AJ versus Cody. Little fun fact: this is
Yeah.
going to be the first time they ever face each other, ever in any
Oh, yeah.
promotion. And you're talking about two former
Dang.
leaders of the Bullet Club. They both wrestled New Japan. They both wrestled the Indies for a while, and this is going to be their very first time ever meeting in the ring, which is a cool tidbit. I'm sure they're going to drive down our throats later, but that's
Oh,
just
I'm
kind of
sure.
like a little piece I realized, and I thought that was kind of cool. But yeah, I mean, I could tell that when he just thumbed the eye and then LNA backs up just enough to get hit by a phenomenal forearm. Kind of a cheap way to
Yeah.
end
It was
it,
like
but of course,
you
yeah.
knew they were going to get there. We just wasn't sure how.
And AJ has new music, so that's that
Yes, he
too.
has a new entrance that I wasn't super thrilled with. Like,
This,
I don't know. I like his old music better, but yeah,
I just was
maybe
a
he'll grow
huge
on me.
fan of that one. That was such a great, oh, it was such a great theme song. But who
Yeah.
knows? We'll see. Maybe this will grow on us. I don't know. We'll see.
maybe it will. Maybe it won't. We'll find out. Only time will tell.
Speaking of copy
Speaking
and
of time
paste.
telling, yeah. Well, the next thing was Solo showing up at the arena in a luxury limo, and then he came out all decked out in a suit, looking all swag, and it was like, wait a
Yeah,
second, he's looking like the Chief,
exactly.
which is kind of what I had talked about
Yeah.
was I'm like Solo's obviously the tribal chief, so this felt like they didn't come out again and say it. They've just heavily implied it
Hmm.
that he's taking over, at least doing the power play. And then Solo introduced Paul Heyman to Tama Tonga, described him as his MFT. I don't know what that is. Like I was thinking about it, going MFT. Who? What is? Because he now said it twice. And he said, I want to say he said it the week before, and then this week he was like, he's my MFT, and I was like, I'm not familiar with what the MFT is.
It's
Maybe
probably
I
new
need to do
lingo.
more research. Yeah, and
No,
I was like,
I mean, I'm
I was
sure.
like, Big D, am I missing something here? Because I don't know what it is.
I thought it was like MF in Tonga, but I don't. That's just me
Yeah.
being me. But but I think I'm not
I
sure.
mean,
I might
that's
have
the
to
only
do
thing
some
I
digging on
could
that.
think of is what it was. But I was like, there's when he said it, I'm like, am I supposed to know what that means? But maybe we'll find out later because that MF Tonga probably would be it. But I
Yeah.
guess. And then Solo is demanding that Paul Heyman take him to see Kevin Owens, and he's like, take me to see him because of the whole backstage altercation where he disrespected
Yeah.
him when he went into Cody's locker room, and then so that they paused there. Then we went to the real copy paste from Monday night, which was Triple H came out to present the WWE Tag Team Championships, as we mentioned earlier, to A Town Down Under. As we said, love the redesigns on this one. This one is my favorite redesign. Is
I
for
like
the
them a lot.
WWE Tag Team Champions. Looks
Yeah.
really, really nice.
Yeah.
And then they immediately did the same thing where they went into instead of a triple threat, a fatal four-way tag match because apparently you got to work harder if you're on SmackDown in the tag division. So it was a fatal four-way to determine the number one contender. So this really was like a copy paste for the segment of, all right, you're
But
the champions.
this
Here's your
was
new
match of the
titles.
night for me.
Yeah, no, this one was match of the night for me as well. So I'm glad you mentioned that.
Improvement.
It was yeah, Street Profits, Legado del Fantasma, New Catch Republic, and then I guess when they're just by themselves, they're AOP and not the Final Testament. So I'll
Yeah,
say Authors
I
of
guess.
Pain. Uh,
Hmm.
and so this one was a really great match. Match of the night, a million awesome spots here, probably too
Oh
many to
my God,
list.
Spot Fest.
But it was
Hmm.
really, really fantastic. Absolutely loved it. I was bummed because, of course, New Catch Republic did not win.
I know.
They looked great in this one. And there was a lot of fun spots where everyone was ganging up on AOP because
Well, how
obviously they're
about
like the two biggest and strongest. Oh, go ahead.
right? Well, speaking of
The airplane
strongest,
spin.
yes. Oh my God. On
Yes.
which one? Razor, Razor. Sorry,
Yeah.
Razor. I think Razor. I think of
When
Ninja
he get,
Turtles, Toka and Razor, but now it's
yeah.
Razor. So yeah, how about that? Just being able just to just
They
carry
did
fireman
assist
carry.
him with getting him up
I mean,
off the
still
ground and then getting him set,
holding.
but it's still impressive. I was like that,
Yeah,
and I think he only got like maybe four rotations before he got intercepted, but
that's
it was
four more
still
than I would have
cool.
done.
Yeah, I was like Tyler Bates still looked awesome.
Yeah, that was
It's
great.
it's just. And then Street Profits ended up a little surprising that Street
Yeah,
Profits won
I was
this one.
surprised by that. I thought it would have been, New Catch Republic. That's what I was going for because it seems like Street Profits are in this forever feud with AOP and the Final Testament. But
Yeah,
don't get me wrong, I love me some Street Profits. They are amazingly
yeah,
talented, athletic, and just great on the mics. Just overall, just amazing talent. And so I'm happy to see them advance, and I'm curious to see. I feel they will take the titles from A Town Down Under because I don't think anybody takes
yeah.
that tag team serious. I mean, it's a fun tag team. They're fun heels and all that good stuff. But I definitely think that Street Profits are going to take this. And I mean, just look at the athleticism with Montez Ford hitting that frog splash to break up the pin. Like that was
Yeah.
nuts. So
Yeah. This one was really great, and Street Profits are your number one contender now, and they will face A Town Down Under. Terrible name still. For the WWE Tag Titles. I'm assuming a Backlash because they didn't
yeah,
really say, but I'm presuming
I'm
these
pretty
are all
sure.
they're lining up the Backlash card.
Yeah,
Um, right after this, we got the talk about copy paste. We got the backstage segment with Heyman letting Solo know he couldn't find Kevin Owens, and then they kind of walk out to Gorilla. This is where they did the continued
Yeah.
shot, and they walk out to Gorilla, and then they're chatting, and he's like, "Hey, one day you're going to have the decision making power, but that's not today." And then he basically was like, "Hey, shut up," and then they both walked out
Yeah.
out to the ring. And this is where Paul Heyman was supposed to give, I guess, the state of the bloodline speech that
Hmm.
Solo immediately cut off and then grabbed the
Yeah.
microphone from him. And he got a little bit of almost of the, we'll call it the Dominic Mysterio treatment, where he, as he started trying
Oh
to
my
talk,
God, he
people
was
were booing
spooed
him really
out the
loudly.
house. Oh my God, you could barely hear what he
Yeah,
was saying.
you could hear him
It
saying,
was
and he kept doing
insane.
that. He'd start and stop, and he'd be like,
Yeah.
"I," and then they would boo, and I was like, oh, this is very reminiscent of what they got going with Dominic right
Hmm.
now. But and then shockingly, we got a "We Want Roman" chant, which I was a little
Yeah.
surprised by that. Where I'm like, huh, like is this one of those "Hey, the grass is always greener" moments where now that Roman stepped away, people miss him a little bit? Do you see a little bit of a face turn when he comes back? So we'll see what happens with that, but
Yeah.
Solo basically talked about he had to lose a brother the week before when they beat down Jimmy to find his other brother who was Tonga, and then introduce Tonga. And the introduction to Tonga was just the him coming down the ramp with now a bloodied and beaten Kevin Owens. So I guess he found him and then beat him up. And then they essentially were beating down on Kevin Owens. And then they were trying to take him out with a chair, and then Nick Aldis and the officials, everybody came out there to save Kevin Owens and then scrape him up. Is essentially what happened. And then right after that, there was the backstage segment where Nick Aldis tells Heyman, like, "Hey, look at these crashed cars." So I guess the implication was that Tonga
Trying to
crashed his rental
murder
car
him,
into
pretty
Kevin Owens
much.
and attempted murder. Yeah,
Manslaughter,
attempted
vehicular
to murder
manslaughter
Kevin
on
Owens.
SmackDown.
And he's like, "Look, we settled this in the ring. We don't murder each other." And I'm like, "Well, probably good policy, Nick." Which
Yeah.
I don't think you'd have to explain that to Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman probably knows that,
From
but
his
so
ECW
it's
days,
like,
he's probably like, "Oh, that's just fun stuff."
yeah. Oh, like, come on, people do a little time. Well, which I want to say, we've had enough people hitting each other with cars backstage in WWE. I mean, technically, Rikishi did that to Stone Cold.
He did it for The
You
Rock.
had he did it for The Rock. So that's our like. There's been enough instances of that it's not an uncommon thing apparently. But
Yeah.
basically, he tells him, "Clean this up. You better do something about this, or there'll be consequences because not losses aren't the only thing that have consequences." And then he boogied out of there. So kind of a weird, awkward segment of let's beat down
Yeah.
Kevin Owens to show everyone we're serious.
I think it's just more of Solo trying to establish his dominance and power. And yeah, I know. Before we
Yeah,
talked about how it would be kind of interesting to see Cody take over the bloodline. That we talked about how I talked about briefly how the piece that Roman gave him or that The Rock gave him was a piece of Roman's lay and all that. But
yeah,
I actually had a good conversation with one of my followers here on TikTok, Keto Kayvon. We were talking. I just want to shout him out because him and I were kind of talking about it back and forth for a little bit, and I think obviously I know they already made a comment that it's going to be. I think he said it was like a watch that he gave The Rock or whatever, and I heard that.
yeah,
I had heard that too. I heard that. I heard Cody say that too, but. It's just, it would be great to see something like that happen. But the more we're seeing it unfold, and I think something that I mentioned as well was it would have been. I feel we're going towards like a civil war between the bloodline within the bloodline,
yeah,
and I feel like I've seen like the mock-ups for it, and I'm pretty impressed with it. Well, fantasy booking, right? I'm talking about fan made art, not anything WWE put out there. But I'd seen where it's like on one side you're gonna have Paul Heyman leading, not leading, but Paul Heyman siding with Rock, Roman, and the Usos reunited, and then you're gonna see Solo with Tama Tonga and Tama Tonga's brother, and maybe one other member. Maybe it's Bad Luck Fale, maybe it's Jacob Fatu. You know,
mm,
who knows? But it would be great to see young, fresh talent versus the established. They're probably like, hey, we had to come up on the indies. You guys had it made because of your parents. Here on WWE, we had to climb and claw our way up, and you kind of have a little civil
yeah,
war, like 4-on-4 match. I think that'd be great to see. It'd be awesome. I would love to see that. I don't know if it'll happen because there's going to have to be a lot of signings going on. You're talking about signing two more
yeah,
aside from Tamatanga. Because then you could have Tama Tonga's, well, technically half step brother, but brother, come into play, and you have the Gorillas of Destiny reunited, and then all you need is either Badaluk Fale or you need Jacob Fatu, who's been tearing it up in the Indies, which would be an amazing thing to see. But again, time will tell. But I think we're kind of
It
seeing
will.
Solo come in on his own, come to his own, be his own person. It was nice seeing him in the suit. Now he's kind of being more unhinged and more of like that badass that we've been seeing in NXT, and now seeing him in this level as kind of like almost like, dare I say, almost like mafia like,
Yeah.
um what is it, Yakuza type, like just not taking any crap or anything like that, and just very just direct and very just to the point and just handling business. So I'm liking it. I do like it. I think some people
I do
aren't caring
too.
for
I
it, but I
enjoy
think
it.
it's gonna be great.
Yeah, I'm liking it so far. I do think it's a nice change, and I think it's a logical progression based on storytelling they've already said and set it up. So
Hmm.
I'm interested to see kind of where they take it. Do they go it as far as to create kind of that Civil War situation, or do they just kind of have it come back and be like, when Roman comes back and then it's a feud with Roman? But I don't know. We'll see. It'll be interesting to see. I am intrigued though to see how it
Yeah.
plays out over the next few weeks. After this one, we got Santos Escobar versus Carlito, which was pretty standard. Santos Escobar, of course, won after hitting the Phantom Driver. Just felt like filler. It's a continuation of I think they're trying to play this. Carlito was here to avenge Dragon Lee's, uh,
Yeah.
you know, attacker
Attack.
that they are saying is Santos. And then they keep saying, "Well, no, Santos Escobar has already said it's not me. It's not me."
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, is it
It's
Carlito that did
Carlito.
it? That's
The
what I'm
heel turn's
assuming it
coming.
has to
The
be,
heel
and
turn's
that it's
coming.
coming. But this feels kind of like an afterthought too, because I'm like, if
It does.
so, why is Carlito the one? If he's the one who did it, why is he going to go get beat up by Santos Escobar just to throw him off for a few more weeks?
Yeah.
But it was fine. I mean, it just feels, I don't know, feels a little empty to me. But
Hmm.
but this was the
I
next
agree.
match, and it was fine.
I mean, I agree, and it's kind of dumb that he got distracted by Zelina Vega and Electra Lopez brawling in the outside. I mean, first of
Yeah,
all, logically speaking, neither one of them is going to go into the ring and attack you. They're brawling outside, whatever, man. Just focus on your
yeah,
match. You're a seasoned vet. You know this. I feel this is more of ways to make him feel frustrated with the
yeah,
LWO to kind of play towards his eventual heel turn. I'm going to see it happen, but it's not going to happen soon. I feel it's going to be something that's going to slow build and kind of be like a blow up from the inside kind of thing, to where it's going to be a huge shock when it actually does happen. Even though we're expecting it, it's going to be a
yeah.
shock when it happens because of how
Well,
it's going to happen.
and it's almost like the commentary is teasing it too, because the whole
Yeah,
time during this match they're like, Carlito in his first run in WWE, he won titles all the time. Now he can't get out of his own way. He
yeah,
must be getting frustrated with it. It's like they telegraphed it a little
yeah.
too
They're
much on
just
commentary
yeah.
today too. But yeah, I mean we'll see where it goes. It does feel like that's just a logical progression. They're going to take it. He's going to flip, and that'll be the continuation of that. And then we had main event time. We
Mm-hmm.
had WWE Women's Championship, Bailey versus Naomi. So, which I say that we're talking about copy paste from Monday night. So Monday night's main event was two friends where the champion extended the opportunity to the challenger, and then they faced off in the main event. This is the same thing. It
Yeah.
was Bailey had extended this to her friend Naomi at the challenger. The difference is there wasn't a heel turn here. It was even worse. It was a no contest, which there's
Although
only
Bailey
certain
got
ways
hit
that you can.
first, so that would mean she won in my book,
Yeah, it
because
should
but
mean she won, but they were just like, it's a no contest. Ding, ding, ding. This is Tiffany Stratton. So yeah, if you haven't seen it, I'm sure you have. It was a good match. I mean, it really
yeah,
was. It was
yeah, it
solid.
was.
And then it was very even back and forth, and there were times where it looked like Bailey was in trouble, and at times it looked like Naomi was going to win. And right at the end, when they're on the outside, Tiffany Stratton pops out of nowhere and attacks both of them and says it's Tiffy time and stands
Mm.
tall, which I think was just a little bit of a cop out. It's their way to we don't want Bailey to win clean. We obviously don't want her to lose. We don't want her to cheat. How do we do this? Have Tiffany just barge in and take everybody out,
Yeah.
so that way everyone saves face.
Yeah.
You had a lot of damage control in the skybox right before this, and then Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair in the skybox right next to them, like jawing at them. Which I'm like, really? That's you guys just set
You
up so
just
you can
realize
make
you're next
fun
to
of
each
each
other?
other. You just realize you've been in the exclusive skybox this whole time. And so what I also thought was interesting about this or funny about this is you have the damage control interview and the altercation that was like right before the show or right before the main
Yeah.
event.
Yeah,
They
sorry,
were
yeah,
talking,
main event.
and right for the main event. So then once Tiffany Stratton beats everyone down, and then they pan back up, and of course damage control is happy, and then you've got Bianca Belair's like hold me back, taking her earrings off. And I'm like, you're all the way up in the skybox. Like, you're not going to do it. What are you taking your earrings off? You're not going to do anything. She's like, I'm going to go down there and just doing this. And then Jade's like, I know, right? And I'm like, you're not going to run down there and make the save. You're way too high. Like, leave your earrings on. So that seemed a little bit soap opera-y, silly.
Yeah, I agree.
But you know, it was what it
Drama for the
was.
sake
It
of
was a fine
drama.
main
Yeah.
event. Yeah, drama for the sake of drama. I think it was a good main event. I just didn't like the way that they ended, but I understand
Yeah.
why they did it that way. It
I
was just a
mean,
little bit of a cop out for me.
I do too, but especially in a title match with your top women's title for your show, I don't feel the first defense should be a no contest. I feel that there
Yeah,
should be more weight on it. Either book Bailey strong and let her win, and
yeah,
win, and then have Tiffany Stratton come in. Maybe what would have been better is Bailey win, maybe make it a close match so they both look strong. Barely wins, and then, or I would just say strong. Just let her win, and then when
let
her
her
and
win. Yeah,
Naomi are reconciling in the ring, like, hey, thank you, showing respect. That's when you have Tiffany come in and take them both out. And because they had
yeah,
just been through a hell of a match together, then you have Tiffany come in and just tear them both up. And then that's where you kind of build from there. But at least your champion had her first title reign successful, not end in a no contest where technically she won because she got hit first. But what are rules,
yeah.
anyways? But I mean, I
I don't know.
get, we talked about Tiffany Stratton being booked, to possibly take that title off of Bailey sometime in the future. I just feel like this doesn't do Bailey or Naomi any justice, because of the way that the match ended.
Yeah, I agree. I feel the same way. But yeah, so now it looks like they're building towards Bailey versus Tiffany Stratton, and we'll see where they end up going with that one. And
It'll
that was
probably be a triple
SmackDown
threat.
this week. Probably, yeah. They like to do triple threats, and then have the person you like the least taking the pin,
Yeah,
which means it'll be Naomi. Naomi taking the pin.
yeah,
Yeah, that was a show. I would say B, similar grade to Raw. So I'll
yeah.
say it's probably a B show
Hmm.
overall. I
I agree
think
with that.
overall for the week though, they set up a lot of uh, the the continuation of we got our number one contenders for
Hmm.
Backlash. I think they're kind of getting everything aligned before they get to the WWE draft, which is coming up
Hmm.
um, on the next SmackDown is when it's going to be. So Raw is going to be a
Yeah,
regular show. Then SmackDown will be day one of the draft, and then the following Raw will be day two of the draft. So really excited, interested to see where they go with that right before we get
yeah.
into our next premium live event. But yeah, that was
Backlash.
it.
Yeah, so I think we're gonna see. Speaking of the draft, I think we're gonna see a few names moving along the way from NXT. I feel that we're gonna see Ilya Dragunov um, drafted. I don't know where, but I feel he's gonna take off.
Yeah,
Carmelo Hayes, they kind of were insinuating that when they had him already debut on SmackDown a while back,
yeah,
but then he turned heel, so they kept him there. But I think he'll get drafted. Um, I also have a feeling that we're going to see um, the family, you know, make their debut. But I don't know if it'll be the whole family or maybe just one of them. I don't know yet, but I think that's going to be interesting to see. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm curious to see the draft where people go. Obviously, champions are probably going to stay where they're at. I don't think they're going to do any awkward changes of the titles like they did last time. But
yeah.
yeah, I think that's pretty much what I think is going to happen. So I don't know. We'll see what
Yeah, I
happens.
mean,
I may be wrong.
it'll be interesting. Well, you're going to see the NXT call ups, I think, but yeah, I'm assuming the only one I'm going to go on record and say I think will happen is you're going to end up winding up with Jimmy and Jay back together on the same show,
Yeah.
and and they'll get back together as a tag team after that. I'm going to
Yeah.
say presume it's going to be for Raw maybe, and that Jay will leave and go back to Raw to be with Jimmy. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how. It depends on how they're
No,
gonna
Jimmy go
treat
to Raw
this.
with with Jay.
Oh yeah,
But I think because
yeah,
I think it's
Jimmy.
gonna be the opposite. I think they're gonna put him over there so he
Oh
can
yeah,
start
that's right, that's
helping
right.
out. I think Jay's gonna go to SmackDown to help Jimmy out with the newfound tribal chief.
Yeah, the war on the bloodline. So yeah, but either way, they're gonna end up back together as a tag
Yeah,
team. That's the only thing I'm gonna go on record and say, and then we'll stay tuned for the rest.
yeah.
But yeah,
We'll see.
that was the week. Looking forward to upcoming as we get closer to the draft. But that's what we got. We'll take a quick moment again to say thank you again to all of you out there in YouTube land for all the support. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe, and keep those comments coming. Nice ones, or you can be objectionable. Just don't throw
Don't
tomatoes
bother
and
me.
stuff like that.
Yeah,
Yeah, I say don't be mean. Don't be mean. But we love the conversations. We know that wrestling fans are passionate, as are we. We're all opinionated, so keep those opinions coming. And that's what we got this week. So thank you all again for joining us, and we'll see you next time on the recap. Have a great rest of your week, y'all. So long.
see ya.